Welcome back to Bears News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for everything Chicago Bears. I'm here to bring you the fastest updates, the deepest analysis, and the insider perspective you won't find anywhere else. Today, I'm breaking down something that's going to define the next era of our franchise, and I need you to stick with me because the implications of what I'm about to share will completely change how you view our path forward. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications because you're going to want every single update I bring you over the next few months. The 2026 NFL draft landscape is taking shape, and let me tell you something right now. This isn't your typical draft year. This is a quarterback-driven class at the top, but underneath that surface, there's an absolute war happening for playmakers, edge rushers, and cornerstone defenders that will reshape the entire league for the next decade. Teams are positioning themselves aggressively, making calculated moves, and I've been watching how this all connects back to us, to the Chicago Bears, and to the decisions Ryan Poles is making in that war room. Let me set the stage for you. When you look at the top of this draft, you're seeing pure chaos in the best possible way. The New York Jets just made an absolutely massive move, trading up to the #1 overall pick to secure Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. Think about that for a second. The Jets, after years of quarterback instability, are finally planting their flag and saying, "This is our guy." That's the kind of aggressive mentality that wins in this league, and it's exactly the mindset I want to see from our organization when the opportunity presents itself. Right behind them, you've got the Raiders taking Dante Moore from Oregon at #2. Pete Carroll isn't messing around out in Vegas. He wants a franchise quarterback with that classic NFL arm talent, and he's going all in. The Titans at 3 are taking the best defensive player in the class, Arvil Reese from Ohio State, a linebacker who can absolutely dominate the middle of the field. These are statement picks. These are teams declaring their intentions loud and clear. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is where I need you to pay close attention, because it directly impacts how we should be thinking about our own draft strategy. At #4, the Cleveland Browns take Carnell Tate, a physical receiver from Ohio State. At #5, the New York Giants make a trade with the Jets to move up and grab Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. Now, Tyson is one of the most explosive separation artists in this entire class. He's got elite quickness, route running precision, and the ability to create yards after the catch that makes defensive coordinators lose sleep at night. The Giants, recognizing they needed a dynamic weapon in their passing game and being willing to trade up to get him, tells you everything about how teams are valuing elite receivers in today's NFL. It's not enough to have good receivers anymore. You need guys who can create separation on their own, who can win one-on-one matchups consistently, and who can turn a 5-yard catch into a 50-yard touchdown. That's what Tyson brings, and that's why the Giants were willing to pay the price to move up and get him. Now, as a Bears fan, watching teams like the Giants aggressively pursue offensive weapons should make you think about our own situation. We've got DJ Moore, who's an absolute stud, and we've added some pieces around him. But do we have that next-level explosive threat that can take the top off defenses? That's a conversation worth having, and it's something I'm sure Ryan Poles is evaluating constantly as he builds this roster. Let me walk you through some other fascinating picks in this mock draft because understanding the entire landscape helps us contextualize where the Bears fit in. The Cardinals at 6 are taking Spencer Fano, a tackle from Utah, building their offensive line. The Saints at 7 grab Francis Mauigoa from Miami, another massive tackle who can anchor their line for years. These teams are investing in protection, in creating time for their quarterbacks, and in establishing a physical identity up front. Then you've got defensive investments happening all over the place. Washington takes Reuben Bain Jr. at 8, an edge rusher from Miami. Cincinnati grabs David Bailey from Texas Tech at 9, another edge with a relentless motor. The Rams move up to 10 and steal Caleb Downs, who might be the best safety in this entire class. These are teams recognizing that defense wins championships, that you need to be able to generate pressure and cover on the back end, and that elite defensive players are worth their weight in gold. Kansas City at 11 does what Kansas City does, adding another weapon for Patrick Mahomes and Jeremiah Love, a running back from Notre Dame who can do absolutely everything out of the backfield. That's the Chiefs being the Chiefs, always finding ways to add explosive playmakers to an already loaded offense. The Vikings, Dolphins, Cowboys, Ravens, and Panthers all continue addressing defensive needs, grabbing corners, edge rushers, and linebackers who can make immediate impacts. Detroit at 17 takes Caden Proctor from Alabama, reinforcing that dominant offensive line that's been the foundation of their success. The Lions understand that everything starts up front, and they're not taking any chances with protecting their investment in that offensive identity. The Jets come back at 18 with Mekhi Lemon from USC, giving their new quarterback another weapon to grow with. As we move through the 20s, you see Pittsburgh taking Denzel Boston at 20, a physical receiver. The Eagles grab a corner at 21. Houston fortifies their interior defensive line at 22. Dallas doubles down on pass rush at 23. Buffalo addresses their secondary at 24. And then we get to our pick, and this is where everything I've been building toward comes together. The Chicago Bears, picking at number 25, select Romelo Height, an edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Now, before you react, before you start typing in the comments about what you would have done differently, let me walk you through exactly why this makes perfect sense for where we are as a franchise and where we're heading. Height is 6'6" with incredible length. He's got the athletic tools that you simply cannot teach, and he represents exactly the type of developmental pass rusher that can become a cornerstone piece for this defense. Think about what we've been building on defense under Matt Eberflus. We need guys who can get after the quarterback, who can set the edge in the run game, and who have the physical traits to develop into impact players. Height checks every single one of those boxes. Yes, he's a developmental prospect, which means he's not going to come in and immediately put up 15 sacks. But the upside is absolutely there. And in a draft where the top edge rushers are going in the top 15 picks, getting a guy with Height's physical tools at 25 is tremendous value. Let me also address what this pick tells us about Ryan Poles' strategy. He's not panicking, he's not reaching for needs, and he's not making emotional decisions based on fan pressure. He's taking the best player available that fits our scheme, that has the athletic profile we're looking for, and that can grow into the type of player we need 3 or 4 years from now when we're competing for Super Bowls. That's smart team building, that's sustainable roster construction, and that's exactly what championship organizations do. Now, I want to contextualize this pick within the larger draft strategy. Look at who went right after us. The Chargers take an interior offensive lineman at 26. The Niners grab a defensive tackle at 27. Cleveland adds another tackle at 28. New England and Seattle take corners at 29 and 30. The Rams take a developmental quarterback at 31. And Denver closes the first round with a linebacker at 32. The point is, everyone in this range is taking players with specific developmental timelines and scheme fits. Nobody's getting immediate all-pros at this point in the draft. You're getting high-upside players who need coaching and development. What excites me most about Height is the coaching he's going to get here. We've got a defensive staff that knows how to develop edge rushers, that understands how to maximize physical tools, and that can put players in positions to succeed. Height is going to learn from veterans. He's going to get quality reps in practice against an offensive line that's improving every year, and he's going to have time to develop without the pressure of being the guy from day one. I also want to talk about what this means for our overall roster construction. We're building a balanced team here. We've invested in the offensive line, we've added weapons on offense, we've addressed the secondary, and now we're continuing to add edge rush upside. This isn't a team that's one player away. We're building sustainable, long-term success, and that requires patience and smart evaluation throughout the draft. Height represents that philosophy perfectly. Compare our approach to what teams like the Jets and Giants did at the top of this draft. They traded significant capital to move up and get their guys. That's fine when you're in a position where one player can change your entire trajectory, but we're not in that position. We're in a position where we need to accumulate talent, develop young players, and continue building through the draft without sacrificing future assets. Taking Height at 25 without trading up or reaching for need is exactly the right play. Let me give you some specific things to watch with Height as he develops. First, his get-off. Can he consistently win with his first step and put offensive tackles on their heels? Second, his hand usage. With that length, if he can develop sophisticated hand moves, he becomes nearly impossible to block one-on-one. Third, his motor. Does he play relentlessly on every snap, or does he take plays off? Those are the traits that separate good edge rushers from great ones, and those are the areas where coaching and development make the biggest difference. I'm genuinely excited about this pick because it represents everything I want to see from this organization. Smart evaluation, patience in development, and a commitment to building through the draft. We're not chasing headlines, we're not making desperate moves, and we're not mortgaging our future for short-term gains. We're building a championship contender the right way, and Height is another piece of that puzzle. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you like the Romelo Height pick for the Bears? Do you think we should have gone in a different direction, maybe prioritizing receiver or offensive line? How do you feel about our draft strategy compared to teams like the Giants who traded up for Tyson? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to hear your perspective on this. This is the kind of strategic thinking that separates good teams from great teams, and I believe Ryan Poles and this coaching staff are building something special here in Chicago. The pieces are coming together, the culture is right, and now it's about continuing to add talent and develop the players we have. If you want to stay on top of every Bears update, every draft analysis, and every roster move, make sure you're subscribed to Bears News Fan Report. Hit that like button, share this video with every Bears fan you know, and turn on those notifications. I'll be back with more in-depth analysis, more breaking news, and more exclusive insights into everything happening with our beloved Chicago Bears. Bear down, let's build this thing the right way.